Here's a quick overview of our new Flex Sampler version 2.02 software. And we'll start off by connecting to the PALs. So we hit Edit and Instrument Settings. Right here is our serial ports. Currently we have the option to connect two PALs. If we leave them in 0, that will be a virtual mode. So that's what we're going to do here. In this case, we're in a dual head Autosampler, but you can connect two PALs, for example, on two GCs on one PC. The Acelenet tray control system is a automatic drawer opener, and this can be deactivated, but we're going to keep it on for this demo. So we're going to connect to our instrument by selecting the on-off switch, and you can come down here and see that the status of the current position of the PALs and the Acelenet. And once we become connected, you see the message down here and our on-off button becomes green. Go over to the sample list and we'll add a couple samples here. I've pre-filled this out, make it a little bit easier. The only thing we want to change is have a unique sample ID name. So we'll come up to the sample, we'll right click and fill down, incrementing from this position, and we see that we have unique ID now. Let's say the first method we want different. We can come over again, right click and choose another method, and then we can right click again and fill down from current position. If you ever wanted to change the method, it's just a nice feature. So now we can add the samples individually. That's what the one is, or a number range as we have here, or we can add all. Okay, now that we're running a dual rail system, we have some limitations due to our method. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these this first one, and that'll give us an odd amount of samples. So I'll hit clear, selected row, and we'll hit yes. And the reason I want odd is because I'm going to show you the run selected function here. So we can hit run selected sample, and you see it goes from white to green, and down here it gives us our status and exactly what the PALs are doing, and that's a pretty nice function. So as we finish up here, this sample finishes, it'll turn from green to gray as it did here, and then give us a message that it's done. Now we can run the entire queue with this play button, and I guess I need to delete one more. Clear selected row, and now we can run. Okay, so now we got two green, and they'll eventually turn gray, but let's just say you had to abort for whatever reason. You do have some pause and stop functions. The pause would be to kind of pause as it is, and the stop would be stop after these samples are done. The abort function would be just to stop immediately, and it asks, do you want to reset the auto samplers? And we can hit yes, and they'll do its sort of cleanup function that we have programmed. And we can also see that the aborted samples turn from green to like a pink red, and that just means that, hey, these were aborted. So after we're ready, connected, no errors, we can actually click these and we can reset the acquisition state either of the selected samples or all samples. We'll go ahead and make it easy and go all samples, and we should still have 96 here. We have, yep, 96, so we can go ahead and run the queue again. We can also reacquire if we right click, selected sample or all samples. That's a nice function as well. So we'll go ahead and hit run queue again. Again, we get a nice status window down here of what exactly the PALs are doing. And this time we're going to show the stop function. And we just see it stopping after sample message screen. And these will eventually become gray as soon as the automatic drawer opener stops here. Okay, we become gray and we get a message that it's done. So now you can continue to do what you need to do. Some other nice features in here is our method development screen. You have the quick push button here, or you can actually get to any of these functions by this top menu up here. So just use this quick push button. So we have two methods here. I don't want to be confusing, but we have method development when you actually have a method that you want to run. You can select this method. You have a list of parameters here, and then if you come down here, we have some basic, it's kind of the equivalent to Cycle Composer. It's really just a notepad kind of method with some variables. Pretty straightforward. If you have Cycle Composer now, you can pretty much import this and be ready to go. The difference here is that we have a lot more flexibility on what we can do. So this one is this semicolon is to comment out a function. So if you want to not clean up on this step, you can comment it out and it will actually skip that step. So to run this method right here, you would come up here and you would select the play button, run method, and you can see we have basically the status of the sample. Unfortunately, I chose a method that we need some flags, and we're in virtual mode, so we'll never get those flags. So I'm going to go ahead and abort this. It'll say abort. Do you want to reset the autosamplers? Well, they didn't move, so we'll hit no, and we're in virtual mode anyway. So the next nice feature is if you want to test a subset of a method without running the whole method, it's pretty nice. You can come down here and we'll open the trays on the automatic drawer opener. We'll hit run service code and resize my window here, and we can see that it's running and it's opening the tray. If you saw that, it said opening CStack 2-01, and that's because the service of the autosamplers is selected to 1. If we chose 2 and we chose a different tray on that second autosampler and we run the service code, then it would say opening CStack 2-03, which is what we just chose. So that's another thing worth mentioning up here. If in the manual method development you want to test one autosampler, you can. Just the second autosampler you can, or you can do both. So we're going to not save the changes. Go back to our screen here. And that's about it. It wraps up our Flex Sampler version 2.02. And we're constantly making improvements, so please check back with us on more.